We're live.
We're going to call the regular meeting to order. It is now 7 o'clock p.m. The requirements of the Sunshine Law have been met. This meeting was advertised in Burlington County Times on January 6, 2023. Electronic notice was given to the NJAC 5:39-1.5. We will now start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Hey, start. Hey, got it. Let's do it again. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We will now have a moment of silence. Thank you. Roll call.
Committeeman Berkeley.
Present.
Committeeman Carr.
Present.
Committeewoman Mungo.
Present.
Committeewoman Wright. Mayor Henley.
Present. Now we will now have a presentation. 75-23, resolution appointing police officer Orlando Council. Do we have a motion?
I make a motion.
Second.
Second, Committeewoman Berkeley.
No, you can have it.
It's yours. Discussion? Roll call.
Berkeley.
Yes.
Carr.
Yes.
Mungo.
Yes.
Mayor Henley.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you. We'll now start with the youth. I, Orlando Council, solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and to the government established in the United States and in this state, under the authority of the people, that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of police officer according to the best of my ability. So help me God. Congratulations.
Oh, welcome to West Hampton.
Thank you. 77-23, resolution appointing promotion of Sergeant Sean Wealthy. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Berkeley first, Carr second. Any discussion? Roll call?
Berkeley.
Yes.
Carr.
Yes.
Mungo.
Yes.
Mayor Henley.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you. We will now do the oath. I, Sean Wealthy, solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith
that I will bear true faith
and allegiance to the same
and allegiance to the same,
and to the governments established in the United States
and the governments established in the United States
and in this state,
and in the state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform all duties of sergeant
and I will justly perform all duties of patrol sergeant
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability.
so help me God.
So help me God.
I'd like to just thank everybody for coming out again. It's been performance recently with some hires, so again, I'd like to thank the committee and the administrator for allowing the police department for everybody who's been growing for the last couple of months. We really appreciate it. Orlando's been a big asset for our police department already. He's doing a great job. He's probably swearing in, he's been here to support his other officers, so, congratulations on that. Come here. Appreciate it. And then for Sean, it's been a long time coming. Sean was our very first Class 2 police officer way back in 2007.
Wow.
He was our first canine officer, so he did a tremendous job with that. And here we are today. Sean Gray will lead his patrol squad starting next week. So we appreciate everything Sean for the department. Continue to do what we're doing. And I'd like to thank all the officers who were here tonight, police former officers back here, and some of our retired officers. So thank you guys for coming out. I really appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. And we just take a couple minute break.
Of course.
We can just have some pictures out there, and then we'll continue with the meeting once we're done. Okay?
Absolutely.
We will now have the West Hampton Township School Essay Contest winners.
This essay contest is not the first we've done. In fact, it was started a long time ago by Linda Hines. This year, the title or topic was, "What is Equality?" And it was done for Black History Month to celebrate the achievements. We have 4 winners here. I'm hoping they're all here. We'll start with those that are 7th grade. Oh, by the way, we had about 200 kids' essays
Oh, very
between
nice.
7th and 8th grade. So our winners are certainly well high above their class, and we had so many wonderful essays, it was hard to choose. But first, what we're going to do is we're going to have them come up and read their essays. They'll go back down. When we're done, they will come up, and the mayor and the superintendent will hand them a certificate, and if parents, if you want to come up and take a picture then, you can do that, and that would be great. Okay? First would be our 7th grade winners. For 2nd place, Jordan Williams.
The topic, whether men and women should have equal rights, has been the focus of many conversations across the world. Still today, gender equality is an ongoing concern that many women feel should be changed. Women should be treated equally in all aspects of life, such as education, as well as employment, without being discriminated against simply because of their gender. Women's equality is equally important to me, as I hope to have the same opportunities in life that are afforded to men. This topic is important to me because without women's equality, it prevents women from having their own independence. When addressing women's equality in education, women are often viewed as less educated than men. Did you know there are still over 20 countries where women are not allowed to have an education? As a matter of fact, in Haiti, 1/3 of girls over the age of 6 never go to school. While I sometimes dislike going to school, I couldn't imagine not learning anything past the 2nd grade. This will prevent me from having a great career and providing for my family. Likewise, employment for women is also a hot topic. You often hear of men having the CEO position or the head boss, but not so much for women. Similarly, the pay difference between women and men is a huge topic when talking about women's equality. This is just as important to me as my mother shared with me at a young age that she named me Jordan Williams to ensure no one could discover if I was a male or female when I applied for a job. In conclusion, although women's equality has came a long way, we still have a long way to go. I believe women should have a voice to talk about their problems or concerns. This could only help some of our problems. Additionally, when women are afforded the same rights as men, society will be fair in a peaceful world. My solution to women's equality is to allow women more opportunities for men and women to share the same responsibilities of a society, to give more support and empower women to do what they choose in life.
Thank you.
Excellent job, thank you. Wonderful, thank you. Our second place winner for 8th grade is Celine Say.
Equality to me means making sure that everyone has the same opportunities to make the most of their lives. As a person of color, I am a first-hand witness to a lack of equality in our society. At a young age, I have been exposed to the staggering effects of discrimination and have been a victim to hurtful stereotypes. As I have gotten older, I have begun to see discrimination in my everyday life, whether it is on social media or from people I know. When you look at me, the first thing you'll see is my brown skin and curly hair. My physical appearance is a target for stereotypes. But I am more than just my skin. My race does not define who I am, and assuming you know something about someone based on their appearance isn't acceptable and should not be normalized under any circumstance. John F. Kennedy once said, if we cannot now end our differences, at least we can help make the world safe for diversity. In other words, if we cannot accept each other as equals, the least we can do is help future generations embrace what makes them different. Whether it is your race, cultural background, religion, gender identity, or sexual orientation, we are all the same on the inside, which is why I believe everyone deserves a chance at being great. Everyone deserves the opportunity to become whatever they want. Nobody should be subjected to a certain career based on their living conditions. John F. Kennedy's quote inspires me. I know that if we stop judging people and start embracing what makes us different, newer generations will treat each other with the same respect every human deserves. It is my hope to one day live in a society where we are all equals. And in order to do this, we must change. We must put an end to discrimination so we can become the best version of ourselves.
Thank you. Excellent. That was wonderful. Thank you very much. Going on to our first place winners. For first place for 7th grade is Jada Creer.
Ever wondered what a perfectly equal world would look like, where everyone is treated equally fairly and everyone is open to differences? To me, that is the definition of equality, a fair world that is open to different things. To explain my definition even more, I chose 2 quotes and put them together to sum it all up. When people are born into this world, it is expected for them to be treated the same no matter the differences. That was my mixed quote from Malayla Wise' quote, there should be no discrimination against languages people speak, skin color, or religion. And George Mason's, we came equals into this world, equals shall we go out. These quotes spoke to me because of how important it is for some to hear. The world is not perfect, and I do not expect it to be. But there are people out there who make fun of others' voices and make stereotypes about people's races. These quotes, especially Malayla's, really prove the point of equality and what it stands for. It is terrible how some people would exclude people that aren't like them, such as for the color of their skin or how they pronounce or say words, or even a genetic disorder such as Down syndrome, ADHD, or vitiligo, and more. It is when other races hate and say mean things about other races, or when cultures are being hated on, or even judging on some type of special thing someone has, that's when equality is broken. The list can go on and on. There's a limit, and people need to realize that limit and then think about what they're really saying to people. There are some people out there that think that they are the perfect human being, but that's not possible. Everyone has their differences that make them far from perfect. Embrace diversity and your differences. Ever wondered what a perfectly equal world would look like, a world with equality? Though everyone has their different definitions for equality, mine involves fairness and acceptance to things that are different, such as race, culture, and language. A world where stereotypes aren't disrespectful and people are excluded for how they look. I believe that we can make a stronger impact with equality and everyone will finally be treated equally. The next time you see someone being excluded from something, try adding them to your group or activity to make them feel better and create a better environment for everyone.
Excellent job. That was wonderful. Thank you. And our first place winner for 8th grade is Michelle Azari.
Since I was little, I have witnessed what the right opportunity can do in my life and in the lives of people around me. Whether you're applying for a job or trying out for a sports team, one past experience can make all the difference. Some people are born into a life where they have the resources to accomplish what they desire, while others may get pushed away because they don't have that same type of luxury. To me, equality is about giving everyone the chance to succeed, no matter their identity. According to Irvin Kristol, democracy does not guarantee equality of conditions, it only guarantees equality of opportunity. My race, gender, class, or background may be different compared to my neighbors, but in our democracy, those things should not give one advantage over the other in our chances of reaching our individual goals. Even though everybody's situation is different, we all deserve an equal chance to get to where we want to be in life. There have been many times in my life where I felt lesser than another person because they had something or were something that was preferable to what I had or was. Whether they were wealthier, more popular, or both and more, I believed that I could never accomplish what they could. I believed that their route to success was an easy straight line, while mine was a confusing, crooked road. I did not believe we were equal, that I could even have the same opportunities as them. Watching my African immigrant parents struggle to find opportunities and receiving discouraging comments from others as a kid really reinforced my way of thinking. As I've grown, I've gained a new perspective. As Irving said, democracy doesn't guarantee everyone's conditions are alike. The truth is, not everybody will live in the same house, make the same money, or go through the same hardships. We cannot control the circumstances that we are born into, but that doesn't have to be a bad thing. Now, I believe that our circumstances make us who we are and make us unique from each other, not better than. Our democracy allows everyone the freedom to pursue their dreams and aspirations. All people have a right to the opportunities this country has to offer. No one should ever be made to feel like they don't because of their skin color, religion, disability, or anything else about themselves. To consider each other equals, we must accept our differences and respect the fact that everyone is entitled to the same opportunities given to us as Americans. In a perfect world, race, class, or status would not separate us from one another and allow certain people unjust advantages. But we do not live in a perfect world. Everyone goes through different struggles and experiences, but those things make us who we are. From my understanding, equality is about ensuring that every individual has an equal opportunity to make the most of their lives and talents. I believe that no one should have a lower chance of success because of the way they were born, where they come from, or what they believe in. Our diversity comes from our differences, and our differences are our strengths, not our weaknesses.
Excellent. That was excellent. Thank you very much. Mayor and the superintendent. The superintendent has the certificates. Would you like to go down? I can't do the steps. Yeah. No, that's fine. You two are the biggers. So could we have Celine first? Celine was second grade and she had second place. Thank you, Chief. We have Jordan, who was second place in seventh grade, please. You ladies all did such a wonderful job. Jada Creer, first place, seventh grade. Excellent, excellent. And finally, Rochelle Azari, first place, eighth grade. I'd also like to thank the 7th and 8th grade English and history teachers who helped these children and made sure that they were typed nicely and put together, and the kids did a great job. And also Mr. DiDonato, our superintendent, and our mayor, Mr. Sandy Henley. So thank you all for your help and support.
And thank you, Nancy. Well, listen, Linda started it, and Nancy continued it. So without that, we want to recognize, I want to recognize you for putting your energy in there. 200 reads is a lot of reads. And then to uncover, the top 4 is, it's amazing. Bring you guys in and the whole presentation. Just gives us the strength to continue on and hear some of the powerful statements. And, it gives us faith that the young people are coming up the right way and are going to be able someday to lead us into where we need to be. So, thank you all, and thank you for continuing what we started a long time ago. Thank you.
And I don't know if you know, there was a group of people that read it, so it wasn't just me. So, but we all kind of agreed on the same things. It was wonderful. Thank you.
Absolutely. What's up? Yeah. Yep. Okay.
They can enjoy cake outside if they want.
Yeah. Absolutely. The rest of this stuff is boring. You guys will want to stay. Trust me. If I could go, I'd go too.
Thank you again, and for the parents and families.
There's a cake out there, Steve? By the way, there's cake out there. If there's any left, tell them Steve Ed said you can have some. They did. I'm very proud of them. Very proud. So we will now have a presentation from Millennium Strategies grant writers. So I think it's important just to have the plan too. One of the things we looked at is hiring a grant writer. There's been some opportunities we feel like we've missed out on as a township. Obviously, Millennium was one of the top companies to add that. So what I wanted to do was, it's something that the residents have asked for, is, especially if it's something that the township's going to spend money on, to have a presentation and let them know why this is meaningful, like how this can help us. So in this presentation, I can tell you that's what the board is looking for us to incur another expense. We want to make sure that the expense is well worth what we're going to get back for our township to succeed. Fair?
Absolutely.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Mayor, and members of the committee and the administration. Thank you again for providing us with the opportunity to present tonight. Just to introduce myself briefly, my name is Pete Blanos, joined by my colleague John Galt from the firm Millennium Strategies. Tonight, what I'd like to do is just give you maybe a quick 5-minute overview, again, of who Millennium is and for the members of the public, so they understand what our firm does, and then talk a little bit about the services we propose in our RFP response and how we feel we can be of assistance to the township in the year ahead. So Millennium Strategies, we're entering our 19th year of providing grant consulting services on behalf of local government agencies. We work with about 170 municipalities, counties, and boards of ed throughout 3 states, New Jersey, New York, and Pennsylvania. The firm was founded in New Jersey, so of those clients, about 140 of them are located right here in the state. We represent communities of all shapes and sizes and profiles, from large urban centers like the city of Paterson, Newark, Trenton, Jersey City, Camden, down to smaller rural and suburban communities. Our service has benefited communities of all shapes and sizes. In terms of Burlington County, we do have a presence here working with local governments. We currently serve as the grant consultants for the county of Burlington. We also work with several municipalities, including Lumberton, Mount Holly, and Evesham. So we do have experience working throughout the county as well. In terms of the grants that we support, we work across the board. So governmental, federal, state, county, and corporate, and on the private sector side, corporate and philanthropic grants as well. In addition to that, we focus on all areas of municipal government operation. So everything from police, fire, EMS, roads, transportation, sustainability, parks, recreation. If there is an opportunity out there that's available and it fits with the needs of our local government clients, we're actively pursuing that and looking to try and put that forth for our clients' review, consideration, and hopefully their pursuit. Our services, in terms of our success, we've helped to secure well north of $1.5 billion in grant funding on behalf of our clients. In the last 5 years, that number's around $600 million, and in 2022 it was about $170 million in funding. So our success, we continue to grow as a firm, but the numbers continue to grow as well in terms of how we're performing. So that's a little bit about who we are. We have 40-person staff, and I would also say that grant writing is our sole focus. We're not an engineering company or a lobbying company that does grant writing as a secondary focus. This is all we do 40 hours a week throughout the course of the year, so it's our sole focus. In terms of the services that we offer, they're pretty straightforward. They fall into really 3 main categories. The first is our grant research. We have a 5-person team on staff that works 40 hours a week to go out and find the money that's available at all levels. That team studies those programs each week. We then take the guidance that's issued by the funding agencies, put it into digestible memos. We review that information internally as a team, and then that information is disseminated out to our clients that we work with for their review and consideration. So we take a very aggressive approach to the grant research, and I think that's one of the things that's unique about our organization. In addition to that, our secondary service is our grant writing. So once an opportunity has been presented, our clients have identified it and indicated some level of interest in pursuing it, and we've made a determination to move forward with that application. We then sort of take the lead quarterbacking the application process from start to finish. So that includes, convening key project stakeholders, laying out application requirements, data collection, drafting of narratives, letters of support, resolutions, and ultimately compiling all of that information into the application package and submitting it to the funding agencies for their review and consideration. The third and final component of our service, which is optional, I would say probably there's only a small percentage of our clients that utilize us for this, but grant administration. So when a grant has been awarded and one of our clients has received funding, we can assist in some capacities with administering that funding. So helping to execute grant agreements, assisting with submitting programmatic or financial reports, and then ultimately helping to file reimbursement or closeout claims. Does not include project management, so we're not managing the grant and handling the process from start to finish, but we can help with filing the paperwork. So the service that we presented to the township for your consideration is our grant research portal service. We feel it provides a very affordable solution to make sure that you never miss out on an opportunity ever again, that you will have the information presented to you on every grant that you're eligible for in a timely fashion, and that information is presented in a digestible format. The service ensures that you'll have access to our team of experts. So at any time, if there's a grant that you identify that we've presented and say, hey, we are interested in this, you can contact our team. They will consult with you on that opportunity to help guide you to a decision as to whether or not it's viable for pursuit. And then ultimately, you'll also have access to grant writing if and when needed. So sort of like on an a la carte basis. We'll give you the menu of opportunities, guide you through those as you need guidance, and then if you need assistance with preparing those applications, we will prepare them if and when needed.
Thank you. Do you guys have any questions?
I have a question. When you come up with a grant that is appropriate for a lot of municipalities, do you, let's say you found maybe something that's appropriate for 100 municipalities, do you send it all out to all 100 municipalities?
Yes.
So we're competing against all your other clients?
Yeah, to an extent, yep.
Would you help us figure out why we should get it more than other people?
Yeah, so that's really what our goal is as an organization, is to put your application in the best possible spotlight. So every community has different priority projects, every community has different levels of need, and there's a variety of different factors. So some grants are going to be more applicable to certain communities just because that particular grant may focus on a project that's an extremely high priority for that community. There may be another community that may be interested in that grant, but may not necessarily be as high of a priority. They may not have done as much planning, they might not have as much information, and the project may be more conceptual. Either way, we're looking to put both of the, those applications in the best possible spotlight, whether it's a high priority, a low priority, whether there's been a lot of pre-planning done or not a lot of pre-planning done. Regardless of that, we're ensuring that that application checks every box, that it aligns with the priority criteria for that grant program, and that we're putting in the best possible spotlight so that you can secure funding.
We've had lots of grants that have been written by our police and fire chiefs, and they're very well versed and done a great job. So if you were to research something and give us all the information, it would save us money if they took off from that and wrote the grant, or are we required to hire you to write the grant?
Not at all. The only thing that we're doing is we're providing you with the information up front. So what we call the competitive intelligence. We're saving you the time from having to take that funding opportunity notice that's issued by, let's say, FEMA or the Department of Justice, that's 40, 50 pages long. We're saving the chief of the police or the fire chief or the lieutenant or whoever's responsible for that from having to sift through that. We're giving them the one-page memo saying, here's the deadlines, the eligibility requirements, the funding parameters, the goals, the objectives, the ineligible, the eligible expenses, so that they can make a quick decision and say, this is a perfect fit for us, or this is not a perfect fit for us. But they can ultimately then pursue those grants on their own. I actually did notice, we were doing some research, and public safety, they're doing a fantastic job getting grants. I saw that there was, I think, 5 AFG awards in the last 8 years. There's a SAFER grant, some grants from, body armor, body-worn cameras. So you're already, I would say well above where many other communities are for not using a grant writer, so that's great, and we'll support them however we can.
But then for something that we're not experienced in, like a topic, maybe health or something like that, then we could turn to you and say, look, we get $2 million, but we have no idea how to go about that. Then we would hire you to write that grant if you thought it was something that we could get.
Correct. Yeah, so we will, in those scenarios where you say this is something we're not familiar with, we've never written this grant before, it looks like it's a huge time commitment and we don't feel we have the staff capacity, for whatever reason, you say we need help or support with it, we can assist you on in those cases and look to lend our expertise in those areas. There's a lot of new funding coming down the pipeline from, obviously the federal government between the Inflation Reduction Act and the bipartisan infrastructure law. Obviously we're seeing so many, a lot of funding going towards the environment, clean energy, electric vehicles and new technology like that. So there's a lot of new funding coming down the road. So we're ahead of the curve on that, and we're making sure that you are too.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
My question, one of the things that I felt like we missed is we had a grant that we just did for, to help us with a firehouse, right? Mm-hmm. And we kind of got to it last minute, and one of the reasons why was there's another community that's near to us that got $4.5 million from that grant to help them build another firehouse. In those situations, one, my understanding is with that grant, when we initially made the phone call, they said that West Hampton wasn't agreeing for that. When they say it's an agreeing, that means that when you're talking about sending out, and I'm just asking, because Committee Woman Berkeley brought up a good question, if you're sending out 100 different ones, there's going to be some townships that are in the green, some townships that are in the red, some townships that are in the yellow, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
When you say in the green and in the red and the yellow,
that's the language that they kind of use, Congressman Kim's office.
Okay.
When I spoke to them, they said, you guys are in the green for this, so you should definitely try to apply, right? Is that kind of the same, when you guys send something out, you're sending it to everyone who's in the green or everyone who you think will kind of fit?
Yeah, so that's a good point. I think I have a better understanding of the question. So basically, when we present these opportunities, we do some back-end curating, because the information is being put into our grants portal, which is an online system that you as an organization, members of the committee, administration, your department heads will have access to and be able to access the information from directly within this portal. So we're curating it on the back end. So whenever we put a grant in there, the first thing we're making sure is that the grant that we're putting forth is actually a legitimate opportunity for you to pursue. So we're not going to put a grant in there that say only Patterson, Jersey City, Newark, Camden are going to qualify for. It's going to be eligible for suburban, rural, middle to upper class type communities. So we're vetting it and making sure those are the types of grants that are going in. We're also, whenever we post an opportunity, there's a few filters and criteria that we attach to each grant that we post. The type of organization that's eligible for it, the state and the county you're located in. So in this case, a municipality located in Burlington County, New Jersey. So when we create your organization profile in that system, those same 3 criteria are added to the system. So those grants, you're only going to get the grants that match with that criteria. So it helps to eliminate a lot of the white noise and make sure you're only getting the content that's really applicable to you. Now, I think the program that you're referencing is the Congressional Community Project funding through Congress and through the Senate, where you apply directly to your congressional representatives for these programs. We've got a lot of experience with that program. Through the last 2 years and two cycles of funding, it's been a big part of what we've done, helping our clients navigate that. So that's an area where we can really add a lot of expertise and provide a lot of guidance. It is straightforward in the sense that you are just applying to your congressional reps, but you have to make sure you're applying under the right bill. You have to make sure that there's a lot of factors that go into it. So we can help with that.
And lastly, as far as missing out on opportunities, I know that, our public safety team has done a great job, but I know there was another grant that we missed out on, for like historical buildings, where we were looking at, where they were giving money for, like, we have an older firehouse in Rancocas Village that you can't walk on the top floor, right? It's like $1 million worth of damage that could be fixed to help that firehouse that we missed out on. Those things are the things that, I can't speak for everybody else, but if they're doing a great job with that, obviously they need assistance, but those are the things that I feel like are extremely impactful that we're missing out on as well, that can help develop our community. And I think that those are the things that we would like to, if this is the way we went, that we would like to see and like to see early, so that we get an opportunity to apply and be like one of the first people out there. Is that something that you guys can?
Absolutely. I know exactly the program. It's probably the New Jersey Historic Trust Capital Preservation Program. There's 2. There's one for planning for that program, for like design, schematics, historic assessments, and then one to actually implement that. It's a program we're very familiar with. We have a lot of experience with. It's one that is in our portal. That historic preservation is also a big part of what we focus on. So that's definitely something that we can we'll assist with, and when those opportunities come out, you're going to be aware of them immediately.
Do you guys have any other questions?
You took my question.
I did? I must have a good question. Gary, you have a question? You taking questions from the crowd? Ain't even there.
Absolutely, by all means.
You got to answer his question. Go ahead. Now he's bashful. Now he's bashful. Let's go.
The question is, if you could just share with us a little bit of the ROI from the other municipalities that engage your services, that would help a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I can say as far as our success rate goes, I mean, I think that the numbers I had mentioned earlier, in 2022, there was about $170 million in grant funding we helped to secure. We wrote about 1,700 grant applications on behalf of our clients. Of those, just about 800 were funded. So our success rate is somewhere around 40%. In terms of ROI, we could certainly provide that information. I don't have those numbers directly in front of me, but I can tell you that all the communities in Burlington County, as well as the county itself, have had a positive ROI in working with our firm. But certainly, some information, if you're interested in, we can provide it after the fact. Absolutely.
Second question,
But, or ROI, return on investment. I mean, you guys are talking high level, so you might want to.
So, we're located here in our township, right, we have contiguous neighbors. Some of the, programs, you know, passed from federal level or state level, that will specifically address the need for infrastructure improvement. So, for example, there's a county road that abuts our township and Burlington Township. So that's county property, right? So let's assume the county says, you know what, we're going to apply for a grant to improve that bridge, et cetera. I guess I'm trying to figure out, is there a mechanism to make sure we don't duplicate the effort, number one. Number two, make sure that if we're going to be applying for, say, for example, adjacent to the roadway, pedestrian or bicycle pathway, that can also fall under the purview of being paid for by the grant. Burlington Township decided to apply for it, we decided to apply for it. Do you understand what I'm saying? We don't want any incongruency there. Is there a mechanism that you have that can let us know that, hey, they are applying for grants to have their township bikeway, pathway, et cetera, up to your border demarcation line paid for by a grant? Maybe you should do the same type of outcome. That's something that is part of how you package up some of these services and solutions?
I think the only way we could potentially offer that is if it was a client of ours that we were working with or we were adjacent to. You know, if there are projects that are joint in nature or there is some opportunity for, obviously we want to avoid duplication of efforts, but working together for you know, a collaborative project, we're happy to work, you know, and you know, and however we can to support that. Not sure if that totally answers the question, but you know, I think that we've got many instances where we've worked with neighboring communities on joint projects, and you know, we've been able to navigate that. Yeah.
Good. Thank you.
How often do you guys work with other municipalities where you do a collaborative? Like I've seen municipalities like Ohio and Long Beach have teamed together, pulled together to do grants. How often have you guys worked in that type of situation where you can pool those resources together to find funding to collaborate between
Yeah, I think it's sort of a case-by-case scenario. I wouldn't say it happens in every community or all the time, but if there are opportunities for that and there is the ability to do that, I think it always provides for a you know, good opportunity to you know, if it benefits two communities through one application or through one award, there's benefit to that. So I think we're always open to that. Depends on the project. Again, you know, sometimes it's infrastructure. I know there's been just one example of a project where there was a culvert that half of it was in one community and half of it was in the other, and we worked with both communities to facilitate an application through DOT. It was awarded and it benefited both communities. I think through, you know, programming, recreation, and other areas, there's a lot of collaboration, so there is opportunities for that as well. But when those opportunities arise, we can certainly always review them and, you know. No, we're not necessarily collaborate. Like that's not necessarily part of the scope. We are primarily working to advance the agency who we're working with directly. So if it's, you know, if it's the township that's hiring us, we're looking directly to advance their projects. When those opportunities do arise, though, we can certainly help, you know, support them and.
But they gotta pay. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're paying, then they gonna have to pay.
Yeah. Sure.
So in this scenario, say for example, our EMS supports East Hampton, we're the primary provider for EMS. So, and I'm not really familiar with the mechanisms that the grants would work, but say our township applied for a grant for some development of our EMS, physical infrastructure, et cetera. But the other recipient and beneficiary would be East Hampton. Could they apply for a grant in conjunction or on their own for the funding, not to go to the directors institute to the township, because if we say,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So in other words, what you're saying is if there was, even though let's just say that the service is provided by this township, West Hampton, and then East Hampton, receives those services, you're saying could this town apply for it, and then that town could also apply for it as well to try and, bolster? My understanding, it'd probably be just the town that has the service, that's the service provider, and that the other community, I don't think that they would be able to. Yep.
We're good? Any other questions? Thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Appreciate you coming out.
We have some additional materials. I don't know if it's necessary. If you'd like, we can provide them to the clerk.
Not quite the applause of the kids and the police officers, but an applause nonetheless.
We'll take care of it.
All right. Approval of minutes, May 2nd, 2023, regular meeting minutes, and May 2nd, 2023, executive session minutes. Do we have a motion?
So move Berkeley.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Barclay.
Yes.
Carr.
Yes.
Longo. Yes. Mayor Henry.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Monthly reports. Construction, police, fire, EMS, public works, tax collector, and court. We will now open a meeting on public comment on agenda items only. Please remember to state your name and address for the record. Reminder, this is a comment only. It is not intended to be a question and answer period. If you would like a response, please leave your name and contact information on the podium so we can respond appropriately.
The honor goes to me. I was trying to keep you guys free. Gary Barron, 138 Winstead. So I have comments on the agenda, 6A-B. I just want to say congratulations to the officers, well done, to the committee and to the command staff for hiring and for promoting Sergeant Welty. So well done. And on 6C, to the essay contest winners, very impressive, well done to the students, to their parents, to the teachers, and obviously for the continued support. So I really appreciated what they said. It was pretty heartfelt. So I think we got a long way to go, and I think you're right, Mayor. They are the future of our township. So I'm hoping that we continue the involvement with the students on that. So just a comment on the grant writers. I thought that was a pretty informative presentation. Thank you for doing that for us. I think that's something very interesting. So I would encourage you to really seriously look at that. A couple of other items here on the agenda. The monthly reports, got some obtuse questions here for you. You probably don't have to really necessarily answer them, but on the construction report, I've asked about this before only because I'm just not smart enough to really understand these construction reports. But if you take a look at the construction report, it's only one page. If you want to look at it, I think it's page 6 maybe of the agenda packet. But the question I had, or the comment I had, was on the construction report, below the separator line, you've got the columns reading from left to right: permit fees, admin fees, and waive fees. My comment's on the waive fees because at the terminator number below, there's an asterisk that says total waived, and it reads $9,838. If you look at the right lower corner of that same report, in the square box, it totals up all the fees, and below that, in bold, it has asterisk by state law 0, and then by municipality, and then there's another number, 10,438. That's my confusion. Like I said, I'm not smart enough to understand these reports. I'm just trying to figure out if there's an incongruency, a typo. I'm just not sure. And maybe it'd be helpful to just a little explanation as to why we're waiving the fees, etc. There's probably some legit reason why we're waiving the fees, but I think it would help. Moving on to the police report. On page 2 of the police report, on the activities, the second item, the township had an inspection performed by the DOC. I'm only bringing that up, Steve, because of the jailbreak in Philadelphia across the river, how they were able to get out. I'm thinking, oh gosh, let's hope that the DOC did some sort of similar inspection? Was that what they were looking for, to see how jail-proof the jail facility is?
It's a yearly inspection that they do. Lieutenant Burns usually takes care of it. It's just to make sure that we have our I's dotted and T's crossed with it. If we had some.
Okay. I'm just curious about that, but that did just come to my mind. I don't know about what you guys thought about that. And then on letter F of the agenda is the court reports. So if you kind of scroll down to find those reports, if you look at the first court report, the first page of the court report, it looks like that court report is matrixed through March. And this is the reason I'm bringing this up, is so on that first court report for West Hampton, in the column for March, all the way down at the bottom, it says restitution, and it's got the number $50. If you just go down to the fourth report, which is also for West Hampton, that is a different number for the month of March. It has $60. So I guess my question is the fourth report sort of superseding the first report in the report list? And what's accounting for the discrepancy? So if that can be sort of addressed. I'm not sure why we were seeing two reports for West Hampton. Unless I'm seeing something different, because Bob's got a really confused look on his face.
I'm trying to follow you, I'm sorry.
Okay.
So what's Hampton's first one?
And then the fourth one is a West Hampton report, and it's got the April figures. The first report is just the March figures. The fourth report has the fourth, when I say fourth report, I mean literally the fourth page in that. It's got the April figures, and they're slightly different. That's all.
Yeah.
You see it?
Yeah, I see it. Mayor, if I may, it looks like maybe the March report wasn't through the entire month. One just looks incomplete.
Okay, got it.
That it may have been prepared like the third week of March or something, so it wasn't a complete report. And then April, the complete month of March. Just if you look at the first West Hampton report, it does not include total revenue, the paid to the county number, because
Yeah.
the paid to state is slightly different.
So they're technically different reports.
Yeah, and that's just, I have no basis other than just observing it, that it looks like there is slightly more, so it may have been prepared.
I'm just asking because it was a little confusing to me. Like I said, I wish I was smart enough to really understand it. So the other agenda item, if I still have time on the clock here, is, I got to ask you about 12D, Resolution 80-23, the criteria for chief of police. I get it. I get what you're doing here, and I totally think it makes sense to have something like that. A couple of comments that I had here were on, if I can find it. So on the eligibility, you discussed that it's going to be based on a point system, 100 points total, right? So you discussed the testing elements. And it says each examination shall have a total of 100 points and shall be scored as follows. So number one, it says oral examination by a review board, and that's for 25 points. But I don't know, when I look at that, it kind of reads to me that that's really not really an exam, it's really more of an interview. I mean, when I hear oral examination, I go back to the 1980s and think of the movie Back to School with Rodney Dangerfield's character, Mr., Mellon. Oh, I only have one question for you, but it has 26 parts. I don't know if our COP candidates are going to be going through that with you guys. Again, I don't know. I'm just asking you, is it really an oral exam, or is it really more of an interview, and you're going to score the interview, and it's going to be up to 25 points, or it's worth 25 points? So that's my comment about that. That's slightly confusing to me. And then the other part is number two, right below there, you've got A, B, C, and D. That's a total of 50 points. You've got 4 sections there, and I was just kind of puzzled about that, because I'm trying to figure out A, B, C, D total together equal 50 points, but are A, B, C, and D equally weighted, so they're 12.5 points apiece? I don't know. I'm asking, that's my comment. I'm asking you to see if you understand that, if that makes kind of sense to you. And then
just kind of going on that a little bit is, letter C, the bullets, asking to provide written examples of how you would deal with each, township manager, city council, community relations. Is there any significance to the bulleting in that arrangement or that order? Because our township ordinance actually kind of show an apex priority of really who the chief of police should probably primarily focus, some of that responsibility to, and that's to the township committee. So I would think that if I'm looking at this, you're ranking the township manager sort of slightly more important than you are the city council, which is I'm taking to be the township committee. So I was questioning from reading this why it was bulleted in this way. And I think a candidate possibly could look and say, well, this is more important. So if it's 12.5 points, this is worth 4 points, 3 points. You know what I'm saying? It's just a little puzzling to me. And then I guess ultimately, a couple of, I'll conclude here pretty briefly. It says here, the notice of the results, the applicant with the highest composite score of all elements will be appointed chief. That's interesting. What if you scored 1 point, 5 points, 10 points, and nobody scored higher than 10 points? So the person who scored 10 points and everybody that scored below would get the job? I don't know why you would do it that way. I'm just curious. Why wouldn't you say minimum score of 85 points to be considered? What if there's two candidates tied at 50 points apiece or 100 points apiece? Do you flip a coin to decide which one gets the job?
We decide.
Okay, secret vote or... See what I'm saying? I'm just looking at the resolution, right? Just for clarity purposes. If somebody's looking at this objectively, they're looking at this, and I think it's somewhat puzzling. And then, I guess ultimately, I'll just ask this or comment about this. This to me reads like a scorecard. So you're going to be looking at this, and you're going to sort of be scoring the applicant based on all of this different testing elements, this criteria. I'm assuming you have such a scorecard in possession already, and you've tested it and modeled it. Right? If you haven't, before you pass this resolution, I would build that scorecard up. I would test the ever-living you-know-what out of it, and I would guinea pig that with Steve N. to make sure that this is actually going to true up to your intentions and vision for this kind of resolution to then have a chief of police. That'd just be my suggestion. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Gary.
Good afternoon, Terrence Brown, 9 Pine Tree Drive. I had two questions. The first question I have is for Resolution 83-23. It reads, the second part of it says allows for exemption from taxation from real and personal property taxes or property for veterans who is a resident who has a total or 100% permanent disability. I want to know, is that correct, canceling the debt for 100% disabled veterans who has a total or 100%? Because that's how it reads, who has a total or 100% permanent disability. So I know that some veterans have 20%, 30%, 40%. Because I understand the law is only canceling it for people that have 100% disability. But when you read this, it looks like it can cancel it for somebody who has a total, which could be 20, 30, or 40%. So I just want to know, is that correct for this? Because if it is, I know a lot of people that would be interested, you know. That's for the Resolution 83-23. It's the second part where it says, whereas New Jersey 4-330A allows for the exemption. So it doesn't read that way, but I just wanted to get clarity on that. The second question I had is for the resolution
on the Governor's Council of Alcoholism and Drug Abuse. Does the township currently have a council or committee that works with this, or who does this funding go to? Does it go to the police department so they can have programs to, to work around alcoholism and drug abuse in the community? I see we're applying for the funding, but where's the funding slated to go? Who's going to be utilizing this funding? Will there a committee be formed that will, carry out these programmatic efforts under this Governor's Council? It doesn't clearly kind of say that to me, or maybe I just don't understand it the way it's written, so I would like some clarification on that as well. And I'll add my name to this list again, and hopefully I'll get a response. Thank you so much. You're welcome. Thank you. Any other questions? We now close the meeting for public comment. All in favor?
Aye.
Perfect. Ordinances, first reading, 6-2023, an ordinance of the town of West Hampton to fix the salaries, wages, and compensation of certain officials and employees of the township of West Hampton for the years of 2023 to 2025. We have a motion.
Berkeley move.
Second.
Roll call.
Berkeley?
Yes.
Carr?
Yes.
Longo? Yes. Mayor Henley?
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
7-2023, an ordinance of the township of West Hampton to fix the salaries, wages, and compensation of certain police officers of the township of West Hampton for the years of 2022 to 2025. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Berkeley?
Yes.
Carr?
Yes.
Longo? Yes. Mayor Henley?
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
8-2023, an ordinance of the township of West Hampton to fix the salaries, wages, and compensation for the police supervisors of the township of West Hampton for the years of 2021 to 2024. Do we have a motion?
Berkeley move.
Second.
Roll call.
Berkeley?
Yes.
Carr?
Yes.
Longo? Yes.
Resolution 74.
Henley?
Yes, sorry.
Motion carries 4-0.
Resolution 74-23, payment of vouchers. This resolution approves the payment of bills through May 16, 2023. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Berkeley?
Yes.
Carr?
Yes.
Longo? Yes. Mayor Henley?
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Consent agenda resolutions. Resolution note, consent agenda items are considered to be routine and will be enacted with one single motion. Any items requiring expenditure are supported by the certification of availability of funds. Any items requiring discussion will be removed from the consent agenda. Do we have a motion?
Request to remove some items.
Sure.
I'd like to remove 8023 for discussion before we vote on it.
Okay.
D.
So I get the motion first, the second, then we go to discussion, correct? And then we hear the discussion prior to roll call.
For consent agenda, you can have ones removed from consent
Yes.
agenda.
So we're going to just motion and second
Yes.
for everything except for
D.
D,
Right.
correct?
Mr.
So, yes,
I make a motion for the consent agenda A through C and items E through H.
Second.
discussion? Roll call.
Berkeley?
Yes.
Carr?
Yes.
Longo? Yes. Mayor Henley?
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
So D, 80-23, resolution establishing promotion criteria for chief of police for the West Hampton Township Police. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Discussion?
I had some questions. I did email Wendy and get some answers, but I'm still have some questions about this. maybe it's just the way that it was presented. Number one is the committee with the mayor and officers and our administrator. The question is that first, and then after that, the written reports and the review of past service record comes after that? Or are they also going to be done and then given to the whole committee to decide on the how to give the points? Who actually gives the points on B and C? Because I guess, yes, B and C. No, I guess it is 2 and 3. 2 and 3 says applicants must submit a copy for review by the township administrator. Does that mean that the committee of fire chiefs and the mayor and the administrator is not going to review number 2 and 3, and that the 75 points will be totally given by the administrator, or is that of the committee?
Are you asking me? Or
Yes, I'm asking whoever wrote this.
The date for the oral presentation or examination, or however you'd like to word it, has not yet been set. The candidates will be submitting the criteria to the township administrator, who will review the criteria and present it to the committee with any recommendations from the administrator. But the date for the oral presentation, if you will probably come after they have submitted all of the criteria. Once we receive the final oral examination from the board, all of the results will be turned over to the committee for their final decision.
I'm more concerned about it being turned over to the mayor, 3 commanding superior officers, and and I guess
They
you.
don't receive that information.
Excuse me?
They don't receive that information. Only the members of the township committee receive that information.
Who determines who gets the 50 points for number 2?
So I am simply the conduit of this information. So the candidates will submit their plans, their written projects, if you will, that are written into this resolution. I will review them, I will grade them, I will confer with Chief Ent on his opinion. I will then present my recommendation to the committee with the results of how I came to that conclusion. It is up to the committee to make that decision. You can read over all of the materials and decide to grade it your way if you want to change those grades. My decision is not the ultimate decision. It is the decision of the 5 members sitting at the dais today.
So 75% of this evaluation is going to come from your recommendations.
Yes.
I have a problem with that. It's one person. These things are all very subjective. There's no real test of, like a certification test of knowledge. It's all an opinion of how someone reads it and whether they think it's good or not. And I don't think for someone who's the chief, it should be whittled down to one person who is not even in a police capacity to decide how many points. 75 points out of 100, even though we get to review it, is correct. I would rather the number 1 be turned into number 3, 2 and 3 turned into 1 and 2, and the group of review board, the mayor, township administrator, and 3 commanding or superior officers all decide on number 2 and 3. It should not be left to one person. It's too subjective, and I think it's more fair to have a group judge that instead of one person. So I'm sorry, I cannot accept this. Thank you.
I have a question. If you're finished, I'm sorry.
I'm fine. I'm done. I'd like to hear what the people think.
So, Wendy, you were saying that you and Chief Ent confer together, correct?
Correct.
And then there's a panel that does the oral exam, which is probably an interview, right? Where you ask questions. There's a panel of, is it 3 chief of police?
Yes.
Right, 3 chief of police, the mayor, the administrator. Anyone else besides those 5 people?
If you would like to designate anyone else.
No, I'm just asking because I think that if it's just you making a decision, I think it's tough for anyone to make that decision by themselves. But if you're confirmed with the current chief, If I'm not mistaken, the people who are applying for the position are the people who are currently on the West Hampton Police Department, correct?
Correct.
So their superior officer is working with you to confer on who is likely to take the position, right? And then there's going to be a panel of 3 separate chiefs aside from Chief Ed, the mayor, and the administrator that's going to do an interview as well.
Correct.
But that's only 25 out of the 100 points.
And the other part, so the other point is that I can't, you have your opinion and that's what you're here, for, but then they come to us with the paperwork to make a decision on, at the end of the day, us 3 votes decide who the new chief of police is, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Correct.
And I feel pretty secure that there's no one that's going to make a decision on the chief of police unless they know that person is going to be the right choice. In fact, I think Chief N has done a fantastic job, so I would call him the right choice after Chief Otto. So respectfully, I think there is some variance in doing interviews where I currently work. A lot of it is close to the same.
My only question is, will we be given one name, or are we going to be given one file, and then make that, like, that recommendation will come as one person, or we're going to have
You'll have the
multiple and
entire-
everything,
Yes.
or whoever? Yeah.
Yes.
That's what I thought.
Roll call?
One more.
Sure.
I would feel more comfortable if Chief Ent and Wendy then decided on the 50 and 25 points, and they agreed on that. So it wasn't just our administrator agreeing on the number 2 and 3.
Roll call?
Berkeley.
No.
Carr.
Yes.
Mungo.
Yes.
Mayor Henley.
Yes.
Motion carries 3.
We will now open the meeting for public comment. Please remember to state your name and address for the record. Reminder, this is comment only. It is not intended as a question and answer period. If you would like a response, please leave your name and contact information on the podium so that we may be able to respond. Also, can we make sure, like, if the residents are responded to, just let us know that they've been responded to, so we make sure nobody's missed? Certainly. Like following Eddie Murphy.
Gary Barbarian, 138 Winstead. So on the open meeting. So I was upstairs, I was able to look out my window, and I can see when the mail truck comes by, and usually there's a pretty regular area that delivers the mail into the cluster box. I don't know if you've ever seen these, right? They open the back door and they sort of slot the mail. So there was either a replacement or a temp or whoever was doing the mail. And I could see that there was some sort of kerfuffle going on at the cluster box. So I kind of go out there to make sure she was okay. And here's what had happened. She was afraid to open the back of the door because there was a wasp or a bee or something like that. So she took out a can of bug killer, let's call it that, and she coated that cluster box like Monet painting. I'm telling you, I don't know what was more radioactive, Chernobyl or that cluster box with insecticide. I get it. She doesn't want to get stung by a bee or a wasp, but I mean, how do we feel about that? You know, spraying this thing with an insecticide where kids are playing around there or touching is that legit? Maybe you can check with the post office. I'm just asking, you know.
Call the Mount Holly Post Office.
They're not going to answer me. That's why I'm asking you guys to do it. Plus, I want to get my mail. And then I'm going to show you a picture, and then I'll come and talk about it here.
I hope it's going to go on the wall if you want me to see it. You wanted it back there.
Oh, my. Thank you.
Okay.
So I'm not putting a big deal out of this, but
The reason I am bringing this up is because we do have an ordinance, Chapter 206, right? And here's what I'm talking about this. Well, you saw the photograph, right? So that ordinance talks about the solid waste. There's a lot of different things that are going into that chapter. If you can, maybe Bob, you can bring this up too, but if you can bring up in the code book 206, try to follow with me here. So my public comment is, if you look at Article 1, disposal of waste, right, you see it's got 6 sections in the article. If you scroll down to Article 2, there's a number of different sections there, but take a look at 206-23. That has the word enforcement in the article. If you scroll down to the next article, Article 3, 206-30 has the word enforcement. Article 4 only has 4 sections, but no enforcement is mentioned. So enforcement is mentioned 2 times in the chapter, right? But each section of the chapter with the word enforcement is mentioned is different. Under Article 2 of recycling, it talks about the enforcement, and that is enforced by the Township Recycling Coordinator. I didn't even know we had such a person. And the Township Code Enforcement Officer. Article 3 talks about enforcement, 206-30. That's enforced by Police Department. I don't know how we feel about that. Maybe we should have a conversation about that. Is this the right department to enforce this chapter? Since we've got 2 different enforcers. Because here's the situation. Where I took this picture, they're not supposed to put that out until, 3 o'clock at the earliest. That was taken at 11:32 this morning. And that was after I saw it last night. So that's food waste. That's not supposed to be like that, right? You've got vector control issues there. It's just a health hazard, right? But I've seen the same person put their recycling out at the same time. So what are we going to have a situation? We've got a police officer and we've got the recycling materials coordinator. Which one of them is going to enforce which and what at the same time? It just doesn't make sense. So I think you guys might want to look at that chapter and decide whether or not you want to change the enforcement mechanism to be one or the other. I don't know, Chief. I mean, really, police to do that enforcement? I just think I'd rather take it off their plate. That's just me suggesting that. So, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
And Gary, techs get trained to tap, like the pedestal, or you tap before you open things to make sure you don't get stung. Anthony Getz, 109 West Maple Tree Drive. I was looking at the Public Works report, and they were calling out that the portal was supposed to go live in April. I don't know if it did or did not. I tried looking. It's not. Okay. One other thing, more procedural. So A323, I noticed one of the people receiving the refund and the 100% had last name Carr, and then Mr. Carr just approved it or voted on it. I don't know if there's relation there or not, but maybe he should have not voted on it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Terrence Brown, 9 Pine Tree Lane. Again, I have, I guess, a concern or maybe something that can happen. I don't know if the township currently has like a safe zone, like most police departments have, like a place where people can meet to exchange like goods, custody, or even marketplace sales on social media. I do notice as I'm going to the house a lot, there's a lot of exchange in here at the township. So people, come here, I guess, because the police department sits here and they exchange. So I don't know if there are cameras in those locations to kind of help people feel more secure. But I think that if there were designated exchange safe zone spots that were identified, like, hey, you can exchange, meet your spouse here to do custody exchanges, either marketplace sales or things like that, where people can feel like, hey, I'm being video recorded, even though we see in Philly that doesn't work all the time. But I think here that will, make a lot more people feel safe and, maybe use the township as, that spot to exchange their children and, gifts and goods and things. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Chief, do you want to tell them what you have by your door?
Well, we do have several exchanges that happen here. Typically, on the weekends, we do have that. We do have cameras outside the building everywhere. We do have an exchange area for the police department side. We haven't advertised that in a while, but we do have that.
Okay, yeah, I think most of them are staying over here, I'll talk to some of them.
A lot of times,
Anything purpose, go there.
yeah, a lot of times we'll ask for police presence to even be there, but we provide those services when we have that.
Thank you.
All in favor to close?
Aye.
Dates to remember. Next Township Committee meeting will be on June 20th at 7 p.m. Historic Commission, May 24th at 7 p.m. Land Development Board meeting, June 7th at 7 p.m. Recreation Committee meeting, June 7th at 7 p.m. Youth Police Academy sign-up deadline, June 1st. Administrators report.
So the first thing I wanted to report was the Spring Meadows playground equipment. We received notification from the developer that the equipment should be coming in by July. We've been really waiting on them to deliver the equipment so that it can be installed. They're facing supply chain issues as well as everybody else in this country. So they told us July now the equipment should be coming, so hopefully we'll be breaking ground and getting that updated as quickly as we can. The second report is our second construction vehicle should be delivered within the next 3 to 4 weeks. That's all.
Thank you. Committee liaison reports and comments.
I just wanted to congratulations again to really the whole police department as it's growing. Congratulations to Officer Orlando and also Sergeant being promoted. So I thought it was great that we had the essay contest winners here again tonight. It's always great seeing the kids come out. I thought they did a great job, so thanks for keeping that going, Nancy. That's all I have.
Anyone else?
I'd also like to say congrats, Sergeant Welty and Orlando Council. Sorry, Chief Farnsworth, it looks like you're getting more code enforcement duties. I just wanted to make a mention on the grant writers. I've had the experience with Millennium. They do a fantastic job in other ventures, but they're very thorough, on point. They did do some deconfliction as far as working with other entities, at least from my interaction with them. Public Works, they did a great job. They changed the flag over there at the memorial that was unserviceable, the POW flag, in minutes, it seemed like. So I'm really appreciative of that. Other than that, that's all I have, sir. Thank you.
I talked to Todd. The rec committee is the 14th. It was a typo. So it's not on the same day as the land development. Last Friday, there was a mock crash at BCIT. It was absolutely wonderful. It was a combination and a group of the police and our EMTs and the school. And I'll tell you, if I was a senior going to the prom that night, I wouldn't even want to get near alcohol after what they did. They were very, very good. The kids also listened. They had Tatiana, who had lost her twin in a drunk driving accident, and she made an impact on them. Especially, I wanted to thank Michelle Moran, the policewoman who is at the school and did a lot of work to put that together. Yes, thank you, the new patrol officer, Officer Council, and the Sergeant Wealthy. The school is having a strategic planning, and activity, organization. They hired Judy Wilson to work on this. Their goal is 3 things. Where are we now? Where do we want to be in 3 to 5 years? And how are you going to get there? They've had 2 meetings, and they're going to have another one on Friday, public meetings where community members, parents, anyone can come and give their ideas of what do they like about the school, where should we be going at the school. And also there is out on the internet a survey, and they're encouraging everybody, parents and non-parents, community members, seniors, township committee people. If you live in West Hampton, they want to hear from you, your ideas about the school, because they want to start planning for the next 3 to 5 years. So they did that. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Committeewoman Berkeley. I'd like to thank everyone who came out, all the questions, all the feedback. If you feel like your questions aren't getting answered, you're not getting feedback, I understand that we have our email address online. You can email me or whoever else directly to say, hey, listen, I'm not getting, I didn't get any answer, so I don't want anybody to feel that that they're not entitled to a response. Congratulations to our new officer. It just feels like we're continuing to try to build and make our community safe. And that comes with sometimes number of people. So I look forward to it. I trust that our chief, Steve Ed, is finding the right mix of guys and ladies to put out to make sure that, our community is safe for us and our children. Congratulations to Sergeant. It's always great to promote within, and it's always great for, a newer guy to see that someone is being promoted within and climbing the ladder. So I appreciate that, the chief end as well. And to our 4 young ladies that came here and added power to what they spoke, and and I just had some different notes of things that they said, and one young lady made me think about how she said that she felt as though that there was things that she couldn't do because of maybe the environment that she's growing up in, or maybe the money that her family has, and then realizing that she can do anything is a very, very powerful message, that you can change your life, or you can change your situation, and for these children to recognize that and to be able to write to it, and actually more impressively be able to come in a venue full of people that they don't know and speak to it is very humbling and impressive. So I congratulate them and wish them well. Also, I want to congratulate or thank our county commissioners and BCIT. I've also had a conversation with our recreation director, and we were receiving some bills from, us using the BCIT gym and for our kids, whether it's indoor soccer, basketball, and through the communication, working with the county commissioners, working with BCIT, and because obviously we're having a strong relationship with our neighbors, they have taken away that bill. So that's something that saves our township and our community a lot of money. So we continue to say, relationships are important. It does help to be able to have those conversations, and that's something that we might all want to take place in, because you get more with honey than you do with vinegar, and I think that sometimes we can take notice to that. So with that being said, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks.